Have you ever felt like love, instead of bringing you peace, feels like it ties you in knots of worry? Imagine for a moment what it would be like to love with complete freedom, a love that isn't tethered to fear, jealousy, or the need for control. The kind of love that is light and liberating, where every moment is a gift instead of a weight on your chest. The Buddhist perspective on detachment offers this possibility. But don't mistake detachment for coldness or distance. It's not about loving less, but about loving differently, freeing yourself and those you care for from emotional chains that create suffering. The kind of love that detachment encourages is one rooted in freedom. There's no suffocating possessiveness, no desperation to make someone stay, and no silent expectation of reciprocity. Instead, there's trust, respect, and genuine connection. Picture relationships that don't drain you emotionally, but nourish your soul. It's possible to achieve this, and Buddhist teachings provide the tools to help you get there. Whether you're thinking about romantic love, family connections, or even the relationship you have with yourself, these insights are transformative. What would life be like if you could love without fear? What would it feel like to let go and love freely? The experience of love is undeniably one of life's most profound gifts. But when it's tied to expectations or the need for control, love can start to feel like an emotional battlefield. Buddhism reshapes how we view love, encouraging us to see it not as something we cling to, but something we nurture through kindness and compassion. At the heart of this teaching is metta, or loving kindness, the practice of wishing happiness for others without any strings attached. This isn't a transactional kind of love. It's a love that radiates warmth, the kind that uplifts without expecting anything in return. Imagine how your relationships would transform if this were the foundation. A love that gives and doesn't demand, that empowers you and the people you care about. Another essential element of this perspective is karuna, or compassion. Compassionate love doesn't mean taking on someone else's pain as your own or trying to fix their problems. Instead, it's about being present, offering support through understanding and care. This type of love deepens relationships, making them more meaningful without creating emotional exhaustion. It allows you to be there for someone while maintaining your own inner balance. When you approach love through compassion, you're not rescuing someone, you're walking beside them. Equanimity, or upekkha, is the third pillar of this approach to love. It teaches us to accept life's natural ebb and flow instead of clinging to the illusion of control. In relationships, this means letting go of possessiveness and the fear that things must remain exactly as they are for love to thrive. Love, when viewed through the lens of equanimity, is like a river that flows naturally, unburdened by restrictions. It grows stronger not by being held tightly, but by being allowed to move and evolve freely. This Buddhist understanding of love is not about emotional detachment or becoming indifferent. It's about freeing both yourself and those you love from the invisible chains of fear and expectation. It creates a space where love can breathe, where it isn't tied down by the weight of jealousy or control. By practicing metta, karuna, and equanimity, you invite love to be something that uplifts rather than overwhelms. Instead of being consumed by anxiety, you cultivate a calm, centered presence that allows your relationships to reflect that same balance. This is the beauty of love without attachment. It brings out the best in you and those you care for, creating an atmosphere of mutual respect and harmony. These teachings remind us that the purest form of love isn't about clinging or holding on. It's about showing up, being present, and offering kindness and compassion without strings attached. When you can love in this way, you give yourself the gift of peace, and you give others the freedom to be loved for who they are. You stop measuring your worth by how much you receive in return, and instead find joy in the act of giving. This shift doesn't happen overnight, but with consistent practice, it becomes a new way of being. Attachment, though natural, is often the very thing that disrupts the peace we seek in relationships. Buddhist teachings highlight the subtle ways attachment can show up, how it influences our emotions and reactions without us even realizing it. At its core, attachment is a craving for things to stay the same, for people to behave in ways that meet our expectations, and for circumstances to remain within our control. But life, in its essence, is impermanent. The craving to make things stay as they are is what creates tension. When we cling to what is fleeting, we set ourselves up for disappointment, worry, and frustration. Think of moments when attachment might have clouded your ability to simply love. Maybe you've felt uneasy when someone you care about made a choice you didn't agree with, or experienced jealousy when a close relationship started to change. These reactions often stem from attachment, not love. The need to hold on tightly can create strain, not only on your heart, but on the relationship itself. One of the most common forms of attachment appears in close relationships, whether it's a parent trying to shield their child from every mistake, or a partner seeking constant reassurance out of fear of being abandoned. These actions, though often well-intentioned, can become suffocating. Instead of creating stronger bonds, they cause emotional strain. Buddhism teaches that true love flows freely, without the need to possess or control. When you love someone, you want them to grow, to flourish, and to be happy, even if that growth challenges your comfort. Letting go of attachment doesn't mean caring less. It means caring differently. It means creating space for people to be who they are and respecting their freedom to evolve. It's a shift in perspective that requires awareness, patience, and practice. The next time you feel the urge to control a situation or hold on too tightly, take a moment to pause. Notice the emotion as it arises, but don't latch onto it. Allow it to pass, like a cloud drifting across the sky. This practice of observation brings clarity and peace, reducing the emotional turbulence that attachment often creates. Over time, you'll notice how freeing it is to let go of attachment. Love will feel lighter, more joyful, and more generous. It will stop being about needing something in return and will transform into a gift you give freely. Recognizing the subtle ways attachment shows up in daily life is the first step to building relationships that are rooted in trust, balance, and genuine connection. By loosening the grip of attachment, you create a space where love can breathe, grow, and thrive. Love and attachment often feel inseparable, but they are deeply different in how they affect our relationships and emotional well-being. Attachment brings with it an undercurrent of fear, the fear of loss, of change, of not being enough. It convinces us that we need to hold on, to control, and to tether ourselves to those we love to feel secure. At first, attachment can seem comforting, like a safety net, but over time it often becomes the source of tension and worry. Love, in its purest form, doesn't thrive in this environment. It thrives in openness, in freedom, and in trust. Attachment is fueled by the belief that our happiness depends on others meeting our expectations. We feel secure when those we love behave in ways that align with what we need them to be. But life is fluid, and people grow, evolve, and change. When they do, attachment leaves us feeling betrayed or insecure, as though we've lost something essential. This isn't love. It's an illusion created by our clinging. The discomfort that arises when someone we care about makes decisions we don't agree with, or when they drift away, isn't caused by love. It's attachment, pulling on us like a heavy weight, convincing us that we're losing control. Buddhist teachings show us that attachment binds us to unrealistic expectations. It whispers that happiness comes from outside ourselves, from having people remain close or situations stay predictable. But love, when freed from attachment, allows for something deeper and more fulfilling. It removes the pressure for others to meet every need or fulfill every expectation. It grants them the space to be who they are, even if that version of them isn't what we envisioned. This is where true love begins, not in controlling someone's growth, but in supporting it. Pure love doesn't diminish when someone changes or makes choices that differ from ours. It doesn't cling to a fixed idea of who they are supposed to be. Instead, it flows with the natural evolution of the relationship, like a river adapting to its winding path. This kind of love strengthens bonds because it's rooted in mutual respect and trust, not in dependency. When we love without attachment, we can appreciate the presence of others without tying our happiness to their actions or permanence in our lives. The process of releasing attachment begins with awareness. It requires us to observe the moments when attachment sneaks in, when jealousy, insecurity, or the urge to control emerges. These feelings are signals, not failures. They show us where our inner work lies. The first step is noticing them without judgment. You don't need to fight these feelings or suppress them. Instead, acknowledge their presence and understand their origin. Ask yourself, am I afraid of losing something? Am I attaching my happiness to this outcome? With practice, these questions will lead you to the root of the attachment. Mindfulness becomes an invaluable tool in this process. By staying present with your emotions as they arise, you learn to create space between the feeling and the reaction. For instance, if you notice yourself feeling uneasy because someone close to you is making decisions you don't understand, pause, observe the feeling without judgment, and allow it to be there. Instead of reacting with fear or control, respond with clarity and understanding. Over time, this practice transforms the way you approach relationships. The need to cling will diminish, replaced by a sense of trust in the natural flow of life. When you release attachment, conversations with loved ones become more honest and organic. You're no longer trying to steer interactions or outcomes in a particular direction. There's a sense of ease that replaces the tension once created by unmet expectations. You begin to understand that love doesn't need to be a constant performance or negotiation. It's something that simply exists, without conditions. Releasing attachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you care in a way that uplifts both you and those around you. You give love freely, not out of obligation or fear, but because it's a reflection of the abundance you've cultivated within yourself. This kind of love isn't burdened by the weight of needing to be reciprocated or returned in a specific way. It exists as an offering, a gift given without strings attached. Equanimity, or balance, is another crucial aspect of this process. Life is unpredictable, and relationships naturally go through ups and downs. By cultivating equanimity, you learn to remain steady in the face of these changes. It doesn't mean you won't feel sadness, disappointment, or even joy, but it does mean you won't be consumed by them. Instead of clinging to moments of happiness or fearing moments of difficulty, you accept them as part of the rhythm of life. Equanimity helps you see that love doesn't have to be perfect or unchanging to be meaningful. This understanding also helps during moments of conflict or distance in relationships. When someone you love seems distant, or when challenges arise, attachment might push you to seek immediate resolution or reassurance. But love, when rooted in equanimity, allows you to pause. You can give the situation the space it needs to unfold naturally, trusting that love doesn't need constant validation to remain strong. Instead of forcing a resolution, you approach the moment with patience and compassion. Gratitude plays an important role in letting go of attachment as well. When you focus on what you appreciate in the present, you shift your perspective away from what you fear losing. Gratitude reminds you that love is not something to possess or hoard, but something to cherish moment by moment. Reflecting on the beauty of a relationship as it is, not as you wish it could be, brings a sense of contentment. It allows you to appreciate the connection without the need to control its future. Compassion, both for yourself and others, is the foundation upon which all of this rests. True compassion means understanding that everyone is on their own journey, and their choices are a reflection of that journey, not a reflection of your worth. When someone you care about grows, changes, or makes decisions that challenge your comfort, compassion allows you to respond with understanding rather than resistance. It also means offering yourself the same grace. As you practice releasing attachment, you may encounter moments of doubt or old patterns resurfacing. Be gentle with yourself. Growth is not linear, and setbacks are part of the process. The transformation that comes from letting go of attachment is subtle but profound. Relationships become lighter, no longer weighed down by silent expectations or unspoken fears. You feel freer, more at peace, and less anxious about the future. Trust takes the place of control, and conversations flow naturally. Love, instead of being something you hold on to, becomes something you share freely. This shift isn't about reducing how much you care. It's about caring in a way that benefits everyone involved. When you give love without attachment, you create an environment where both you and your loved ones can thrive. Relationships become places of growth and support, rather than sources of anxiety. By understanding the difference between love and attachment, you can begin to cultivate connections that are fulfilling, balanced, and free. Buddhist teachings provide transformative practices that allow us to love without the burdens of attachment, offering steps toward harmony and peace within our relationships. These practices don't suggest distancing yourself emotionally or caring less. Instead, they teach you how to love with openness and balance, freeing your heart from fear, control, and expectation. Among these methods, metta bhavana, or loving-kindness meditation, is foundational. This meditation begins by fostering unconditional love for yourself. By silently repeating phrases like, "May I be happy," and "May I be at peace," you cultivate self-compassion, a critical first step in learning to extend that love outward. Once you've nurtured kindness within yourself, the meditation expands to others, loved ones, acquaintances, and even those you find difficult. This practice teaches that love isn't something you withhold until conditions are met. Instead, it's a state of being that can flow freely, unbound by expectations. Imagine how your relationships would transform if you could love this way, freely, generously, and without attachment to outcomes. Loving kindness meditation softens the heart and helps you offer love that uplifts rather than controls, strengthening your connections and bringing peace. Mindfulness is another essential tool in the practice of loving without attachment. Mindfulness invites you to observe your emotions, thoughts, and reactions as they arise, helping you identify moments when attachment sneaks in. For example, if you feel a wave of jealousy or insecurity in a relationship, mindfulness allows you to pause and notice the emotion without judgment. Instead of being swept away by it, you gain the clarity to understand its root. Was it triggered by fear of loss? Was it linked to a need for control? This awareness is key because once you see the emotion clearly, you can respond consciously instead of reacting impulsively. Mindfulness helps you break the cycle of attachment-driven reactions. When you observe your emotions without clinging to them, they lose their power to dictate your behavior. Over time, this practice rewires your emotional responses, allowing you to engage with others from a place of calm and balance. Instead of needing someone to validate your worth or fulfill your expectations, you can simply enjoy their presence, appreciating them for who they are rather than what they provide. Equanimity, or upekkha, is another vital aspect of Buddhist teachings on love. Equanimity involves maintaining a sense of calm and acceptance, even as life's circumstances change. In relationships, this means letting go of the need to control or fix situations. You learn to embrace the natural ebb and flow of connection, understanding that love doesn't have to be static to be meaningful. Whether a relationship is thriving or going through challenges, equanimity allows you to remain present without being overwhelmed by fear or disappointment. Imagine a relationship where you no longer feel the need to grip tightly or ensure that things remain exactly as they are. Instead, you trust the natural rhythm of life, knowing that change is inevitable and that love can adapt and grow through those changes. Equanimity helps you release possessiveness and embrace freedom, creating space for genuine connection. This doesn't mean you become indifferent to the people you love. On the contrary, you care deeply but without the burden of needing to control outcomes. Compassion, or karuna, deepens this process by teaching you to be present for others without becoming entangled in their struggles. It's natural to want to help those we care about, but attachment often disguises itself as over-involvement. We may try to fix someone's pain or carry their burdens as our own, believing that this is what love requires. However, this approach can lead to emotional burnout and resentment. Compassion, as taught in Buddhism, offers a different path. It encourages you to hold space for someone's pain with empathy and understanding without becoming consumed by it. You learn to support without losing yourself in the process. When you approach love through compassion, you give others the freedom to experience their own journey. You trust that their growth and healing don't depend solely on you. This kind of love fosters independence and mutual respect, creating a foundation for healthy, lasting relationships. Instead of clinging to the idea that you must be everything to someone, you embrace the idea that your role is to be present, supportive, and kind, while allowing them the space to navigate their own challenges. Gratitude also plays a significant role in letting go of attachment. When you reflect on the aspects of your relationships that you value, you shift your focus from fear of loss to appreciation for what you have. Gratitude grounds you in the present moment, reminding you that love is not about possessing someone, but about cherishing the time and experiences you share. When you practice gratitude regularly, the urge to cling diminishes, replaced by a sense of fullness and contentment. Instead of fearing change, you begin to see it as part of the natural evolution of love. Letting go of attachment doesn't mean loving less. It means loving with greater depth and freedom. It's about shifting from a mindset of control to one of trust. You trust that love will flow naturally, that relationships will grow and change as they're meant to, and that you don't need to force them into a predefined shape. This trust liberates you from the constant anxiety that attachment brings. Instead of worrying about what might happen or trying to prevent change, you embrace the moment, appreciating love for what it is right now. As you integrate these practices, loving-kindness meditation, mindfulness, equanimity, compassion, and gratitude, you'll notice subtle but powerful shifts in how you relate to others and yourself. Conversations will flow more naturally, without the pressure of hidden expectations. Disagreements will feel less threatening, as you won't be clinging to a need for things to go a certain way. You'll find that your emotional responses become more balanced, and the fear of loss loses its grip on you. This isn't a journey that happens overnight. Letting go of attachment is an ongoing practice, one that requires patience and self-compassion. There will be moments when old patterns resurface, when you feel the urge to cling or control. But these moments are not setbacks. They're opportunities to deepen your awareness and recommit to the practice. Each time you choose to pause, observe, and let go, you're creating new pathways for healthier, more fulfilling relationships. Remember, this process isn't about perfection, it's about progress. Every small step you take toward releasing attachment brings you closer to a state of love that is expansive, generous, and free. A love that doesn't seek to possess, but to uplift. A love that doesn't rely on outcomes, but finds joy in the journey. As you continue on this path, you'll discover that loving without attachment isn't just a gift you give to others. It's a gift you give to yourself. It frees your heart, allowing you to experience connection in its most authentic and rewarding form. And in that freedom, you'll find a sense of peace that transforms every relationship you have. In life, nothing remains static. Relationships, emotions, and even the people we cherish most are constantly evolving. At first, this truth can be unsettling. We often try to hold on tightly to the things and people we love, hoping to preserve moments of happiness and connection as they are. But this clinging, as comforting as it might seem, often creates the very tension we're trying to avoid. The fear of change makes us resist the natural flow of relationships, causing us to miss the beauty of their evolution. Buddhist wisdom, however, offers a different perspective. By embracing impermanence, we can transform our experience of love into something lighter, freer, and more fulfilling. When we expect relationships to remain the same, we set ourselves up for disappointment. The desire to freeze love in time often leads to controlling behaviors, trying to maintain routines, steer conversations, or prevent loved ones from making choices that challenge our sense of security. But love, by its nature, is dynamic. It shifts, deepens, and sometimes even drifts. These changes don't diminish the value of a relationship, they enrich it. A romantic relationship that evolves from passion to companionship carries its own kind of beauty, rooted in trust and shared history. A friendship that once thrived on constant interaction may become quieter over time, but that doesn't mean it's any less meaningful. When approached with acceptance, these changes become opportunities for growth. Buddhism teaches that impermanence is a natural law. Everything is subject to change, and resisting this reality only creates suffering. When we cling to the way things used to be or fear what they might become, we rob ourselves of the joy that exists in the present. But when we release the need to control and embrace change as part of life's rhythm, we unlock a deeper appreciation for every moment we share with others. Consider the relationships in your life. How many of them look exactly as they did years ago? A childhood friend you once saw every day may now be someone you see only occasionally, but the warmth and understanding between you remain. A partner you once relied on for excitement may now be a steady, grounding presence in your life. These shifts don't mean the love has faded. They mean it has transformed. Instead of mourning what was, you can celebrate what is, knowing that each stage of a relationship brings its own lessons and gifts. Practicing mindfulness helps us embrace impermanence. When we focus on the present moment, we release the urge to cling to what's familiar or worry about what's to come. We begin to experience love as it unfolds, appreciating its beauty without the need to control its direction. Mindfulness allows us to savor small, meaningful moments, a warm conversation, a shared silence, or a gesture of kindness, without being distracted by fears of change. By being present, we create space for connection to flourish naturally, without the pressure of expectations. Gratitude is another powerful tool for embracing impermanence. When we reflect on the aspects of our relationships that we value, we shift our focus from fear of loss to appreciation for the present. Instead of dwelling on what might change or end, we celebrate what we have now. Gratitude helps us see the richness of our connections, even as they evolve. It reminds us that love isn't about permanence, it's about presence. By appreciating the moments we have, we make them more meaningful and memorable. Letting go of the need to control relationships doesn't mean becoming detached or indifferent. It means caring deeply while recognizing that love isn't something we can own or preserve like a keepsake. When we stop trying to define or contain it, we give ourselves and others the freedom to grow. This kind of love is expansive. It's not tied down by expectations, but instead it breathes and adapts. Perhaps the most difficult aspect of embracing impermanence is dealing with loss. When a relationship ends or a loved one passes away, the pain can feel overwhelming. The absence of someone we held dear can create a void that seems impossible to fill. But even in loss, there is room for growth and healing. The love we shared doesn't disappear. It becomes a part of us, woven into our memories, our values, and our understanding of life. The lessons we learned and the joy we experienced remain within us, shaping who we are and how we move forward. Parents often experience this when their children grow up and gain independence. The instinct to hold on is strong, but by letting go, parents allow their children to develop their own paths while maintaining a loving connection. This act of releasing control isn't about losing the relationship, it's about allowing it to evolve. The bond deepens, not because it's the same as it once was, but because it has adapted to new roles and dynamics. The same is true in any relationship. When we accept its natural progression, love grows in depth and authenticity. Embracing impermanence doesn't mean we stop feeling pain when change or loss occurs, but it helps us find comfort in knowing that love is never truly lost. The impact of a relationship, no matter how long or short, leaves an imprint on our lives. The love we give and receive continues to shape us even as circumstances change. Loss becomes a part of the cycle of life, a reminder that every ending is also a new beginning. When we understand that love doesn't need to be permanent to be meaningful, we begin to cherish it more fully. Each moment becomes an opportunity to show up with compassion, presence, and gratitude. Instead of clinging to what was or fearing what might be, we embrace what is. We allow love to unfold naturally, trusting that it will take the form it's meant to take. The fear of change is often rooted in the belief that we won't be okay if things shift or people leave. But by developing trust in ourselves, we realize that we are resilient. We can handle change even when it's difficult, because we carry within us the strength to adapt. Love without attachment doesn't mean we won't feel pain. It means we won't be consumed by it. We understand that just as joy is temporary, so too is sadness. Both are part of the human experience, and both have their place in our growth. As we release the fear of change, we invite love to thrive in its most natural form. Relationships become places of growth, exploration, and mutual support, rather than sources of tension. We stop trying to force things to fit into a specific mold and instead allow them to develop organically. This openness creates a deeper kind of connection, one that isn't based on control but on trust and respect for the present moment. In this space of acceptance, love becomes lighter and more genuine. We appreciate others not for who we want them to be, but for who they are. We celebrate the moments we share without needing them to last forever. And when the time comes to let go, we do so with grace, knowing that love doesn't end. It transforms. By embracing the ever-changing rhythm of life, we free ourselves from the weight of expectations. We learn that love doesn't need to be permanent to be profound. It's not about holding on tightly, it's about showing up fully and letting love flow where it's meant to. When we let go of the fear of change, we discover a love that is expansive, resilient, and deeply transformative. Letting go without losing connection is one of the most profound lessons we can learn in relationships. Far from creating distance, letting go is about freeing yourself and those you love from the weight of control and expectation. It's about trusting that love can exist and thrive without force, that it doesn't need to be contained or manipulated to remain meaningful. Buddhist wisdom emphasizes that clinging often blocks the flow of genuine love. When we hold on too tightly, whether it's to a person, a moment, or an idea of how things should be, we create tension and restrict the natural growth of the relationship. Letting go doesn't mean you stop caring, it means you stop clinging to the need to control the outcome. To begin this practice, you first have to recognize where attachment is showing up in your relationships. Are there moments when you feel anxious if someone doesn't respond immediately? Do you find yourself trying to influence someone's decisions to align with your preferences? These patterns, though common, can quietly erode connection over time. Awareness is the first step toward letting go of them. Mindfulness, a cornerstone of Buddhist practice, offers a way to address this. By staying present with your thoughts and emotions, you can observe the moments when the urge to cling arises. Instead of reacting impulsively, mindfulness teaches you to pause, acknowledge the feeling, and let it pass without judgment. For example, if you feel a wave of anxiety because someone you care about is making choices you don't agree with, mindfulness allows you to sit with the discomfort instead of trying to control the situation. This creates space for a more intentional and balanced response. Equanimity, or the practice of remaining calm and accepting in the face of life's changes, is another essential tool. Relationships are not static. They evolve, shift, and sometimes face challenges. Instead of fearing these changes, equanimity invites you to trust that growth often strengthens bonds rather than weakens them. By embracing this, you learn to let relationships flow naturally without the constant need to adjust or steer their course. Love, when freed from control, becomes something more expansive, resilient, and authentic. Setting healthy boundaries is also a critical part of learning how to let go without losing connection. Boundaries aren't about pushing people away, they're about creating balance. For instance, if you find yourself constantly prioritizing someone else's well-being at the expense of your own, setting a boundary allows you to care for yourself while preserving the relationship. Healthy boundaries help prevent resentment and emotional burnout, creating a space where love can thrive without feeling like an obligation. Compassion is another pillar of this practice. True compassion means caring deeply for others without taking on their struggles as your own. It's the ability to support someone without being overwhelmed by their pain or trying to fix everything for them. Compassion fosters trust and independence, allowing you and those you love to grow alongside each other without becoming overly dependent. When you trust that others are capable of navigating their own challenges, you give them the freedom to grow while strengthening your connection. Gratitude also plays a key role in letting go. When you focus on what you appreciate about a relationship as it is, you shift your perspective from fear of loss to a sense of abundance. Instead of clinging to what you think you might lose, gratitude reminds you of what you've already gained. It helps you see the beauty in the present moment and appreciate the relationship without the need to control its future. Letting go doesn't mean you love any less. In fact, it allows you to love more deeply and freely. It's a practice rooted in trust, the trust that love can evolve, change, and grow without your constant intervention. This trust brings a sense of peace to relationships, transforming them into spaces of mutual respect and support. Conversations flow more naturally because there's no hidden agenda or unspoken expectation. Disagreements don't feel like threats to the relationship, but opportunities for growth and understanding. Learning to let go isn't a one-time event. It's a process, one that requires patience, self-awareness, and consistent effort. There will be moments when the urge to control reappears, and that's okay. These moments are opportunities to deepen your practice. Mindfully observing your reactions and choosing to release control, even when it feels difficult, is how you grow. With time, these choices become second nature, and you begin to experience the freedom that comes from letting go. Letting go without losing connection is also about releasing the fear that love will disappear if you stop holding on so tightly. Love is not something fragile that crumbles under the weight of change. When it's given space to breathe and grow naturally, it becomes stronger and more resilient. Letting go doesn't mean you stop caring about the people in your life. It means you trust them enough to let them be who they are, even if that means they change or grow in ways you didn't expect. One of the most profound benefits of this practice is the way it transforms not only your relationships, but also your inner world. When you're no longer consumed by the need to control outcomes, you experience a sense of lightness. Your mind becomes less cluttered by worries about what others are doing or thinking, and you have more energy to focus on what truly matters, being present, loving authentically, and finding joy in the moment. This shift doesn't happen overnight, but with practice, it becomes a way of life. Overcoming challenges along the way is inevitable, but they're not setbacks, they're part of the process. You may face feelings of insecurity, fear, or even guilt as you learn to let go. But Buddhist wisdom reminds us that these feelings are natural and don't mean you're failing. They are signs of growth, signals that you're stepping outside of old patterns and into new territory. Compassion for yourself is crucial during this process. Instead of criticizing yourself for moments of doubt or difficulty, acknowledge them as part of the journey. Community support can also make a significant difference. Sharing your experiences with trusted friends, a meditation group, or a mentor can provide encouragement and perspective. Knowing that others are on a similar path can help you feel less isolated and more motivated to continue. Letting go is not about perfection, it's about progress. Each time you choose trust over control, compassion over fear, and presence over expectation, you strengthen the foundation of love and connection. Ultimately, the practice of letting go without losing connection leads to relationships that are lighter, freer, and more fulfilling. You create a space where love can grow naturally without the weight of expectations. The people in your life feel seen and appreciated for who they are, not for who you want them to be. And in this space of freedom, love thrives. As you continue on this journey, remember that letting go isn't about giving up. It's about embracing a different way of loving, one that uplifts both you and those you care about. It's about finding joy in the flow of life, trusting that the connections you nurture with kindness, compassion, and balance will endure in their own beautiful way. Love, when freed from attachment, becomes a source of peace, growth, and endless possibility. And that is where its true power lies. Overcoming the challenges of practicing detachment is often the most difficult yet rewarding step on the path to emotional freedom. Understanding the concept of letting go is one thing, but applying it in the messy realities of life is where true transformation begins. It requires patience, awareness, and self-compassion. One of the first challenges you may encounter is the fear of losing relationships. Detachment is often misunderstood as cutting ties or becoming emotionally distant, but the truth is far more nuanced. Letting go is about freeing relationships from the weight of control and expectation, allowing them to flourish with authenticity and mutual respect. Another common struggle is facing feelings of insecurity. For many, attachment provides a sense of stability, even if it's a fragile one. When you begin to let go, it can feel as though you're losing part of yourself or risking your place in someone's life. Recognizing that these feelings are natural is the first step. They don't mean you're doing something wrong. They simply reveal where growth is needed. Mindfulness becomes a powerful ally in navigating these moments. By observing your emotions without judgment, you learn to sit with discomfort rather than react to it. For instance, when fear or doubt arises, mindfulness allows you to pause and notice the feeling without becoming overwhelmed. If jealousy or possessiveness creeps in, you can acknowledge it without acting on it. This practice creates a space between emotion and reaction, allowing you to respond thoughtfully instead of impulsively. Over time, this awareness helps you recognize patterns of attachment and gradually release them. Each moment of mindfulness is a step toward greater clarity, balance, and freedom. Guilt is another challenge that often accompanies the practice of detachment. Many people equate letting go with abandonment or neglect, especially in close relationships. However, true detachment is rooted in love, care, and respect. It's about allowing others the freedom to grow while trusting that your love remains strong. This perspective often requires unlearning societal or cultural expectations that equate control with care. It involves redefining what it means to be supportive, recognizing that sometimes the most loving act is to give someone space. Boundaries play a critical role in overcoming guilt and maintaining emotional balance. Setting healthy boundaries doesn't mean you care less. It means you care in a way that honors both your well-being and the well-being of those you love. For example, if you find yourself constantly sacrificing your needs to accommodate someone else's, setting a boundary protects your energy and allows the relationship to thrive without resentment. Boundaries help you give from a place of abundance rather than depletion, making your love more sustainable. Another obstacle is the temptation to revert to old habits, especially during moments of stress or conflict. When challenges arise, it's easy to fall back into patterns of control, jealousy, or over-involvement. This is where self-compassion becomes essential. Instead of criticizing yourself for slipping, acknowledge your progress and recommit to the practice. Growth is not linear, and setbacks are part of the journey. The key is to approach these moments with kindness rather than self-judgment. Remind yourself that every effort, no matter how small, contributes to your overall transformation. Gratitude can be a powerful tool during these times. When you feel the pull of attachment, take a moment to reflect on what you appreciate about the relationship as it is. Gratitude shifts your perspective from fear of loss to appreciation for the present. It reminds you that love doesn't have to be perfect or permanent to be valuable. By focusing on what you have rather than what you fear losing, you cultivate a sense of abundance and ease. Sharing your experiences with a supportive community can also help. Whether it's a close friend, a meditation group, or a mentor, having people who understand your journey can provide encouragement and perspective. When you share your struggles and victories, you realize that you're not alone in this process. Others have faced similar challenges, and their insights can offer guidance and reassurance. Letting go of attachment doesn't mean achieving a state of complete detachment overnight. It's an ongoing process that requires consistent effort, but each small victory, each moment where you choose trust over control, presence over fear, brings you closer to the freedom you seek. you'll start to notice changes in your relationships. Conversations will become more open and relaxed because they're no longer weighed down by hidden expectations. Disagreements will feel less threatening because you won't be clinging to a need for things to go a certain way. The people you love will feel more valued for who they are, not for what they can do for you. This transformation also extends to your inner world. When you're not consumed by the need to control others, you create more space for self-reflection, growth, and peace. You begin to trust yourself and the natural flow of life, knowing that you don't have to force outcomes to be happy. You become more resilient, able to navigate life's uncertainties with grace. This resilience comes from the understanding that love, when given freely, can't be taken away. It's something you carry within you. The practice of detachment leads to relationships that are lighter, more genuine, and more fulfilling. When you let go of attachment, you give the people you care about the freedom to be themselves, and you give yourself the freedom to be at peace. Love becomes something you offer without strings attached, and in doing so, you create an environment where connection can deepen naturally. The weight of needing constant reassurance or control disappears, and in its place, you find trust. Trust that love doesn't need to be controlled to be real. The lessons you learn through this practice aren't just for your relationships with others, they're for your relationship with yourself. By letting go of the need for external validation, you begin to see your worth as independent of anyone else's opinion or actions. You realize that you are enough, just as you are, and that you don't need others to prove your value. This self-awareness is the foundation of true emotional freedom. It allows you to love from a place of wholeness rather than from a place of lack. As you move forward on this path, remember that detachment is not the absence of love. It's the transformation of love into something expansive and liberating. It's a love that allows for growth, change, and freedom. And while the process may be challenging, the rewards are profound. You'll experience a level of peace and balance that makes every relationship richer, every moment more meaningful, and every act of love more genuine. In the end, loving without attachment doesn't diminish connection, it enhances it. By letting go of control, you create space for love to thrive naturally, without fear or tension. And in that space, you'll find not only deeper connections with others, but a deeper connection with yourself. When you fully embrace the practice of letting go, you step into a new way of experiencing love, one that is free from fear, control, and attachment. It's not about detaching from people or emotions, but about freeing yourself from the patterns that weigh love down. This shift is a practice rooted in trust and openness, and it brings peace not only to your relationships, but also to your heart. In life, we often hold on too tightly. We cling to loved ones, moments, and even ideas of what our relationships should look like. This clinging creates tension, driven by the fear of loss or change. We worry that if we loosen our grip, the love we cherish will slip away. But ancient Buddhist wisdom reminds us that love and control cannot coexist. True love is expansive, flowing naturally when freed from the constraints of expectation. The path to loving without attachment isn't without challenges. Letting go can feel counterintuitive at first, especially in a world that often equates love with possession. But as you've seen, attachment creates anxiety and insecurity, making it harder to truly connect. When you begin to release attachment, you open the door to a love that feels lighter, freer, and more authentic. This process begins with small acts of awareness. It could be as simple as noticing when you feel the urge to control a situation, or when anxiety arises because things aren't going as planned. Mindfulness helps you observe these moments without judgment, giving you the space to pause and choose a different response. Instead of trying to force someone to meet your expectations, You learn to trust the flow of the relationship. This trust allows you to appreciate the present moment instead of worrying about what might happen in the future. When you are fully present, each interaction becomes an opportunity to deepen the connection, not through control, but through mutual respect and care. Conversations flow naturally because they are free from hidden agendas or unspoken needs. You no longer measure the success of a relationship by how well it meets your expectations, but by how much it allows both you and the other person to grow. This shift transforms love from something you cling to into something you offer freely. Letting go also invites you to confront your fears. What if the love you give isn't returned? What if the people you cherish change or grow distant? These questions are part of the human experience, and the answers lie in embracing impermanence. Instead of seeing change as a threat, you can view it as a natural part of love. Relationships evolve, and sometimes they take unexpected turns, but this doesn't mean they lose their value. The love you've shared, the lessons you've learned, and the growth you've experienced are all part of your journey. At the heart of this process is trust. Trust that love is strong enough to exist without force, and trust that you are enough even when relationships evolve or end. This trust doesn't diminish connection, it strengthens it. It allows you to approach love from a place of abundance rather than scarcity. Instead of worrying about what you might lose, you focus on what you can give. This generosity of spirit enriches your relationships, making them more fulfilling and resilient. Equanimity plays a vital role in this transformation. By cultivating balance and acceptance, you learn to navigate the ups and downs of relationships without becoming overwhelmed. When things don't go as expected, you don't react with panic or frustration. Instead, you remain steady, knowing that love doesn't have to be perfect to be meaningful. This balance creates a sense of calm that permeates your interactions, making you more present and available to those you care about. Compassion also deepens your ability to love without attachment. When you can hold space for others without trying to fix or control their experiences, you create an environment of trust and understanding. Compassion allows you to support others without feeling the need to take on their pain or solve their problems. This type of love is freeing. It acknowledges the other person's independence and growth while maintaining a deep connection. Gratitude is the final piece of this puzzle. By focusing on what you appreciate about a relationship as it is, you shift your perspective from fear of loss to a sense of abundance. Gratitude reminds you that love is not about holding on tightly, but about cherishing each moment for what it is. When you appreciate the present, you let go of the need to control the future. This shift creates a profound sense of peace, allowing you to love with an open heart. As you integrate these practices, you'll begin to notice subtle but powerful changes in your relationships. They will feel lighter, more balanced, and more fulfilling. The weight of needing constant reassurance or validation will fade, replaced by a sense of trust and mutual respect. Conversations will feel more natural, and disagreements will no longer feel like threats to the relationship. You'll be able to give love freely, without fear of how it will be received. Loving without attachment doesn't mean you won't feel pain or sadness, but it does mean you won't be consumed by them. You'll understand that just as joy is temporary, so too is sorrow. Both are part of the human experience, and both have their place. This understanding brings resilience, allowing you to navigate the highs and lows of life with grace. The most beautiful part of this journey is the freedom it brings. When you let go of attachment, you free yourself from the constant need to control outcomes. You free others from the pressure of meeting your expectations. And most importantly, you free your heart to experience love in its most authentic form. Love without attachment is expansive. It's the kind of love that doesn't cling or demand, but uplifts and empowers. It's the love you give without fear of loss, because you know that love, in its truest form, is never truly lost. It's transformed. It leaves its imprint on your soul, shaping you and the way you view the world. It's the kind of love that fills you up, not because of what you receive in return, but because of the joy you feel in giving it. This journey is not about perfection, it's about presence. There will be moments when fear or control creeps back in, and that's okay. What matters is your willingness to notice it, to pause, and to return to the practice of letting go. Each time you do, you deepen your understanding of love, trust, and freedom. Over time, these moments of awareness will become a way of life, allowing you to experience love as something that flows naturally, without effort or force. By embracing this way of loving, you create relationships that are not only stronger, but also more meaningful. You cultivate connections that are rooted in trust, compassion, and mutual growth. And in doing so, you give yourself the greatest gift of all, the freedom to love without fear, to let go without losing, and to live with an open heart. In the end, loving without attachment isn't just about improving your relationships. It's about transforming the way you experience life. It's about finding joy in the present, peace in the unknown, and strength in the ever-changing rhythm of love. By learning to let go of attachment, you unlock a deeper and more liberating experience of love, one that thrives not on control, but on trust, compassion, and presence. Love, when freed from expectations, becomes expansive and resilient. It no longer carries the weight of fear or anxiety, but instead flows naturally, creating space for growth, joy, and connection. In this journey, you come to understand that true love doesn't seek to possess or bind. It seeks to uplift, nurture, and support. The people you love are free to be themselves, and you are free to experience love without the constant need for reassurance. This freedom transforms your relationships, making them more authentic and fulfilling. It also transforms your relationship with yourself, helping you realize that your worth isn't tied to others, but rooted in the love and peace you cultivate within. When you let go of attachment, you create space for presence, where you cherish the moments you share without clinging to their permanence. You embrace the ebb and flow of life, knowing that change is not a threat, but an invitation to grow. You accept that love, like everything in life, is ever-changing, but that doesn't make it any less meaningful. Instead, it makes every moment precious. This practice isn't about distancing yourself or caring less. It's about loving more deeply and freely. It's about finding strength in vulnerability, peace in uncertainty, and joy in the simple act of giving love without conditions. As you move forward on this path, you'll discover that love without attachment is not only a gift to those around you, but a profound gift to yourself. It brings peace to your heart, clarity to your mind, and a sense of freedom that transforms every part of your life. In letting go, you find not emptiness, but fullness, not loss, but abundance. You discover that love doesn't end when it changes. It continues to live within you, shaping the way you experience life. And in this discovery, you realize that the truest form of love isn't about holding on, it's about setting yourself free.